morning. Well, God's got us out of bed another day, so I guess we should get out here and make the best out of it. I hope you're all having a great morning. Today I want to talk about earning your keep. And well, since that happens to be the title of the first chapter in my book, I thought no better place to start than the opening line here. It seems like every generation has less of a work ethic, but a greater sense of entitlement. Maybe I'm just getting older. I remember my grandpa and dad complaining about the laziness of the generations that followed them. Now here I am, just turned 50, and I'm doing the same thing. It is more of an observation than a complaint, though, but I really do think it's a legitimate concern. I'd like to tell you all a story about how my dad taught me a little lesson on earning your keep. So my dad was a raccoon hunter, and he would buy, sell, trade, and train coon dogs, coon hounds. And he must have been very good at it because, he won some trophies from Grand Night Champion Coon Hunting Contest, and people would come from afar to buy his dogs or trade something for one of his dogs that he would train and bring up. So we always had no less than 3 coonhounds in our back kennels, and sometimes up to 15 if one of them had a litter of pups. But they didn't stay long. Dad's joy with coonhounds was really training them, raising them up, training them, and then selling them off and then trading them. And one of Dad's golden rules, it was always my job because my mom and dad worked every day, and during the day it was my job to go out and feed and water the dogs and make sure they had straw in their kennels and all that good stuff. They were very well taken care of, but today our dogs are sleeping in our beds with us and staying in our house. But that wasn't how it was with the coonhounds, or how it should be with any kind of hunting dog. And for a couple reasons. One, if you domesticate them too much, if you get a coonhound out and play with them and wrestle and make them too much of a pet, they become less of a hunting dog. And the intent of these dogs was to go out and find raccoons when Dad would go hunting. And second, a hunting dog, has a natural instinct that if you let it out of the kennel, it'll go straight to the woods and start hunting. So Dad's golden rule was you didn't get these dogs out of the kennel. I could just give them a little scratch behind the ear as I gave them food and things like that, but we didn't pet them too much and didn't play too much with them. However, Dad had this one old hound. It was a very small, but it was a red bone, kind of a skinny dog, but and he was a little small for, I think he was the runt in the litter, and his name was Rusty. And just something about Rusty and we just hit it off, and he just kind of looked at me every time I go out and feed and water him like, why don't you let me out of the cage and we'll play a while. So one day I broke Dad's golden rule, and I opened the kennel, and Rusty got out, and he didn't take to the woods like most hunting dogs usually did or should have. Rusty looked at me like, okay, what are we going to do? So we'd run around and play ball and climb trees and eat sandwiches. I would make both of us a sandwich, and this went on for several weeks. I would go out every day when Mom and Dad was at work, and I would sneak Rusty out of his kennel, and we would run and play. But then one day I was in the house, and I heard my dad on the telephone, and he was negotiating a deal to trade Rusty for a shotgun. And I couldn't tell Dad that I'd been letting Rusty out of the kennel, but I stood there while he was talking, and by the time he hung up the phone, I just had tears streaming down my eyes. He said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Dad, I got to be honest with you. I've really grown a likeness to Rusty, and he's grown a likeness to me, and I want to keep him as my pet." And Dad said, "Son, Rusty's not a very good hunting dog." Well, I didn't tell him. I already knew that because he didn't head to the woods. And I said, "Well, that's fine, Dad. I don't want a hunting dog. I want a pet. And I love Rusty." And I just had tears streaming down my face. And Dad simply looked at me and he said, "Son, everyone and everything has to earn their keep." And if Rusty's not earning his keep, I can't afford to feed him. And I begged and pleaded just a little bit. Now, I don't know where you grew up at, but in my generation, or at least with my dad, no meant no. So you didn't beg and plead too much. But I at least made a case to keeping Rusty. I told Dad, I said, look, I'll do extra chores, I'll earn money, I'll do whatever it takes, but please just let me keep him and just keep him as a pet. And Dad didn't have it. And a couple hours later, the guy showed up and he traded the shotgun for Rusty. Now, I was a little upset at my dad. I was definitely hurt. And as Rusty went away in the guy's truck, it kind of really broke my heart as a kid. So what Dad said about everything and everyone earning their keep really didn't make any sense to me then, because I couldn't see past the tears in my eyes that I was losing my best friend. But now looking back, I totally get it. And the lesson that Dad taught me in that was phenomenal. I mean, I wake up every morning now. First thing I do when I open my eyes is I thank God for another day. And then I think, how am I going to earn my keep today? How am I going to earn my keep for my family? How am I going to earn my keep for the company or the people that I work for? How am I going to earn my keep for God? And then I start my day. But I answer those questions first, and I go out and I do everything I can to earn my keep. Now, it may sound silly, but just think how much better our society would be if everyone would just ask themselves that one simple question: how can I earn my keep? Y'all have a great day. And thank you so much for listening. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you don't mind. I'm trying to build this channel, and I'll tell more stories like this as time goes on. But if you enjoyed it, please just let me know. Feel free to leave comments or whatever. But anyway, have a great and blessed day.